Okay, so today we're going to do, I guess we'll start with Komarna, then of Tzaddik, on Pashas Yisro. And as I was looking through the different pieces that are possible to use, and they're so beautiful, all of them, I realized that there was a specific piece that we really have to do. We've done it before, but it's so powerful and so important that I just have to do it again. Which is the Komarna brings a story to Ba'al Shem Tov. I think it's by Hashem. I am Hashem God. The Komarna brings a story. Maybe on Yisro, they came from a Avodah Zarah, he left the idolatry, whatever exactly the place is. It fits into a lot of places here, and I just remembered it. I didn't really look at it this year. It's in the Ba'al Shem Tov Torah also. It's very, very, very wonderful. The Ba'al Shem Tov one time was approached by this priest, Philosopher-Priest, whatever, and the person said, "You believe God's everywhere, right?" He said, "Yes, God's everywhere." He said, "So why can't you worship in church? What's the problem? God's everywhere, right?" He said, "This is why Hashem made the capacity in human beings to excrete. Sometimes you reveal godliness by rejecting something. It's like every person has to use the bathroom, right? They have to reject certain, add certain elements, certain segments of the food they took in. Similarly, in spiritual things, sometimes you have to reject things in order to reveal godliness. It's not always you have to do everything that is possible to do just because God is everywhere."
I mean, but he is still there.
Yes, he is still there. And again, there's an element of, this is the same idea which we were speaking about a little before. More than this idea. This is sort of the Ishbitz's Yediyah. There's something called Yediyah, and there's something called Bechirah. It's two different elements. Yediyah means Hashem knows everything, what's going to happen, and it's all from Him. And Bechirah means we make choices. That's all from us. So these two are both true at all levels. And even though you can fix everything and everything can be uplifted and everything's good, but we have to act in a sincere, good way. You can't act in a way that's not genuine and not authentic. The person is not going to say, "Well, it's the way there enough in the beautiful case." I've heard different personalities that aren't so impressive. This is so strong, though. This they bring. It's one of those things. It's really hard to get away. It's like Yishma is Yishma Kel. Because God's gonna hear. It's all from Hashem. It's all good. So if you overstep my bounds, whatever. You're my guest in my house for 3 days, and then whatever I do. Too bad. You have 3 days, and then you're dead. Like I can do anything. It's all from God. It's fine. And then the Yisro is the Bechirah of it's all my Bechirah. My serving, so Teven, so all these things, like doing things you don't have to do, overdoing, because overcompensating could be because once you made a choice and once you did something, you ruined everything. So we have to be careful to have balance in both ways, in the right way, to be authentic and real and genuine, and not to be the person who's like, a foiler, guys like, are you kidding? Come on, no, it's all from Hashem. I'm just gonna stay in bed today. It's like, buddy. Yes, it's all from Hashem. Yes, you can pick it up, but don't stay in bed today. That's not really what's from Hashem. It's not the way to do it, It's not okay. It's the same thing with all these things that are not okay. They're not good. They're not good. So the person has to be careful. You can't give, when a person makes a mistake, he does things you're not allowed to do. So he's giving koach to the other side. So the fact that theoretically he can change it around and he can do tshuva mihava, but it's not exactly like Rav Eliot Bian says, if you weren't able to use Gabra before you fell, do you think you're going to be able to later it's much harder. It doesn't get easier. You have to find this place that's even higher, like the hay, like the Gemara says. Right? The Gemara says about this world is made with the hay. The hay has an opening on top, an opening on the bottom. If you fall out in the bottom, you can go back in it. So why can't you go back in the same place, same way you went out? Because now you have to have a gather. You have to go from higher, you have to get to a higher place to get into that little opening. They have hay. Right? Hay is like a dollar and a little bit here and an opening. So you have to go back in, all the way up. Why? Because I can't. Getting back in is not as easy. I have to find new pathways. I have to forge new pathways. Nobody normal would say, "Oh, I'll just blow. I'll total my car, but then when I fix it, it's going to be even nicer." It's like no one's going to do that. Okay, if you really believe you're totaling your car, you're not going to total your car. If you total your car, get totaled, so I'm going to make it even better. That's the being sincere and real. And Kolshkin, it's your friend's car. It's like, "Oh well, don't worry, it can be better." It's like, I don't want nobody. Very nice when it's done, fine. But right now. No, I want a car. Why do you go totally my car? What are you doing? So this is the first Yisro, this understanding that it's true, everything's from Hashem. Yes, God is everywhere, but you have to be very, very careful to know how to be Megala Hashem the right way. How do I reveal Hashem the right way? I always like to say the mashal, not the mashal, the illustration from Rav Nosson Breslev has this beautiful illustration. Right, he makes Chazal say that a person who worships a Zara, it's like he made a mamzer, an illegitimate child. It's like, what's one thing to do with the other? So the answer is, that's what Nosson explains, is that when you see something that has koyach, it's inspiring, it's beautiful. You see a sunset, a sun rising. You see something wonderful, right? That does not mean that you are supposed to give the koyach just to the sun. The sun is just an evid. You're supposed to, in legitimate ways, look at the sun and say, wow, what a great creator who made this beautiful sun. When a person separates that from the creator, it gives birth to something, but it's illegitimate. Instead of having a legitimate, authentic, a good connection to Hashem, he's connected to who knows what. Oh, we can start working the sun now. So there's no shaykhs. That's very, very great. That's very, very, very wrong. So that's the first thing. That's the Yediyah Komarna. Yediyah Komarna. And he speaks, you have to be careful. You have to, in general, you have to be careful. Rizal has many, many, many aspects. A person can think too much in money. That's not thinking about Rabeinu Bachayah. Right, the gods of silver and gold. Don't make gods of silver and gold. He said this is the aspect of he brings from Rabeinu Bachayah. It means a person thinking of silver and gold while he's davening. You're kind of making it. You should be with Hashem, and here you are somewhere else doing something else. You're supposed to be so. It's feeling to really connecting to Hashem, not to be somewhere else. That's a very, very important Yisro as well. And this understanding that we have to live in a balance. I want to have a balance. On the one hand, I have to know that everything's my Bechirah, it's all my choice, and I have to live in the world and be in the world. On the other hand, I have to also be flying high somewhere else. I have to be connected somewhere else. Connected to the Kodesh love. No matter what, no matter where I am, where I experience, where I'm going, what it's about. There's, when you learn, it's very interesting. Yeah, you were mentioning the Komarna before about this. It's really that read. All the cheshbonos of Yisro, who is Yisro and who is Moshe? Moshe is going to go with Hevel, and Yisro is going to go with Cain. And Cain wanted the extra twins, so he killed Hevel. So Yisro gave his daughter to Moshe to fix that, and fixing this is very interesting. And the mitzvah that he killed is the bad of Cain. And Moshe learned how to get rid of the bad, and then Yisro is the good of Cain, different Bechirahs and Inyanim. It's very, very fascinating learning all these different amazing things, right? And then Moshe Rabbeinu never gave up on us. He was also coming to fix Noach. That was why he was putting a table on the water, just like Noach, and that's why all different Inyanim. And then Hashem said to Noach turned into the world after destruction, and he said, "Wow, everyone's gone." She said, "Oh, you foolish shepherd! Now you ask about it. You should have done before." So Moshe Rabbeinu said, "No, don't make them don't make my kids into a nation. I want the Jewish people. If not, erase me." So Moshe Rabbeinu knew the soul of fixing what Noach had messed up. So there's like a tremendous complication, the beautiful things that's happening. And the gilui of the Matan Torah, Kabbalah Torah, is an incredible thing. And the first Yisod of Kabbalah Torah, it was this concept, which is that knowing Hashem is everywhere. Everything is expression of Hashem. Everything's from Hashem. And the more you understand that, the more you're going to be able to really connect to Hashem B'emes. The more I really chop that fact, the more I really penetrates to me. I start to realize everything's a tikkun, like the Zohar speaks so much. Everything happens is parallel on high, and either I'm doing good things or doing not such good things. It's my choice. It's my choice. So I wanted to say over also, the first that's the first Bechirah of what the Torah is. The first Bechirah of what the Torah is connecting to the Torah, connecting to Hashem. And we speak a lot, we've spoken a whole bunch of times, and we know we're still in Sholvim, so we'll speak a little more about this idea that's called Yisod. And Torah is the expression of the inyan that's called Yisro. Yes, it's Tiferes, true, but Tiferes has to be to a real connection. You have to connect to Yisro. So Bechirah, this Bechirah of Yisro, whatever exactly, not going to technical inyan and right just this second, but the bottom line is that we need to have this Bechirah of connection. Yisro is connection. So the person is able to have Torah Lishma, to learn Be'emes, and to be connected to Be'emes. That is all an inyan of called Tikkun Yisod. That's why there's fun to say 5 hours learning straight, without talking if possible. Minimal talking, like that's a bechina of a tinus, that's a bechina of a tikkun shovim, because the Torah itself has a koach, has a vertical koach to fix anything. You know, like the Gemara says, Hashem said, even if they left me, the Gemara brings explains the pasuk, even if they left me, but they kept my Torah, because the Torah has the power to bring a person to holiness and to goodness. If he wants the Torah has a koach to bring a person to good and to fix a person. The only thing is you have to want the Torah to affect you in that manner. But that's this bechina of what Yisod is. Yisod is connection. It's a connection to Hashem through Torah, all the connections are all an aspect of what Yisod is. And the more connected we are, the better we do, the better we are. So the ultimate level. The ultimate level is Torah Lishma. Person, we know that Meir says you get lots of amazing things, Torah Lishma, right? And Chaim tells us, well, do you have these things? Well, I guess you're not yet really Torah Lishma. How are you? He said, probably not, because otherwise you should have those things. If you're missing, if you have like a big check, you're like, well, actually, most of these things I don't have. Well, then your Torah is very minimal. You have to work very hard on this Bechirah Lishma. So the Torah is an incredible thing. It comes from the highest place. And the fact that it's in this world makes no sense. It doesn't belong here. It belongs somewhere else completely. It's doing something else completely than what we understand. The whole world, the blueprint of the world, it's a Torah. It's an incredible thing what the Torah is and how the Torah is unfolding and being revealed slowly but surely. We understand a little more. So there's no question that we have to be very careful not to make ourselves into Chas v'Shalom this bechina of the Zara, not to be too into the money, not to be too into the gaiva, and not to be too into the negative shiftless. To have everything set up the way it's supposed to be set up. Everything has to be set up the way it's supposed to be set up, and to be zocheh to realize that we're very, very important, and we can make a tremendous hashpah into the world, and that's all about the Torah. Every word of the Torah, every letter of the Torah is doing incredible things. I'll end with a interesting, beautiful story. And again, I'm not recommending you do this as a guide for actual situations. We should never find ourselves in this situation. But there was a young man who's called into Chaim Shmulevitz. Chaim Shmulevitz really, he followed all the periodicals. He was very into the Torah, and he loved anyone who this one said and that one said, because he liked to learn. I don't know how much he slept, but he learned a tremendous amount. And they had a voracious appetite for especially Chidush Mibri, like all these periodicals and things that came out with that from Brechim. And he actually called a certain young man. And he started speaking to him, learning, and he found out that he was, he was a very nice Avrech. He was not like some kind of like incredible erudite, like wow, Guy was like holding his learning, he's learning. And I said, I want to ask you, I see you wrote this Chiddush, and you answered a difficult question I've had for like the last 30 years, and I have no idea how, I had no chance of explaining anybody. I always kept this question like, I can't begin to explain it, and you gave like the most beautiful, perfect teretz I've ever seen. I said, how did that happen? So he said, well, I'll tell you the truth. He said, my wife went to the hospital, it's time for her to give birth. And again, I'm not recommending anyone actually do this, but the doctor actually came out, and he's like, listen, there's a serious complication. It's either your wife, we have to decide now, your wife or your baby. If not, then probably both. What can I tell? Like, whatever, presumably. And the guy didn't know what to do, so again, I don't recommend doing this, but he actually was like, that's it, I'm just going to go learn. So he went to the basement and he started learning. He said he just was, again, getting into this question that would bother everyone learns there, doesn't know what's going on. He said he came to him after, he was me again, he put the whole thing out of his mind, he was me again, the learning, and it came to this incredible Chiddush. And after you finished it, he said, wow, it's amazing. This thing's like, holy cow, an hour passed, who knows what's going on, I better go back, who knows what, I did just kill everyone. So he went back, and everything, that's I don't know what happened, everything flipped around, they're both fine, good thing he didn't give an answer, because he would have basically killed one or the other for no basic reason, we could, whatever. Anyway, actually, yeah, right, so again, I'm not saying, it's not the idea of that, I once wrote this story for a newspaper, and I got a little bit of a. They're like, you can't. This is not a public story. You can't tell a story. I'm like, okay, the idea is not to take a lesson. Like, it's like, hey, I'm not gonna. It's not a problem. I don't have a problem. I can't think of a good example. It's like such a crazy thing, like such a drastic. Here I'm driving on the road. I don't need to pay attention to the world. I'll open the Komarna. I'll learn, and then it'll be fine. It's like that's a little bit, mad. That's a mad thing to do. Maybe there are those who do it. I don't know. I don't know if it's possible to do such a thing. But bottom line is, it's not a normal way of going about it. But nevertheless, there's a tremendous koach in Torah. Tremendous koach. Especially a person who's nefesh in Torah b'koach. That he talks about around going Torah b'koach. There's a tremendous koach, tremendous power. Hashem says to the awe of the Torah to realize, remember, Hashem is everywhere. Stay with us and hold on.